Tank and Jake, they've been going at it for years, and it would have happened sooner, you know what I'm saying? But we have hiccups in life. That's what I call it, hiccups, but they lessons to learn from.
Y'all with me? And it was good for us, to tell you the truth, because when I stepped back in the head biggest James, I haven't been there, it brought back so much memories.
Calvin Ford has finally decided to walk away from Gervonta Tank Davis after standing by his side for decades. Following Tank's latest legal issues and the shocking cancellation of his upcoming fight, Ford revealed in an interview with a well-known boxing YouTube channel that he's had enough of the chaos surrounding the young star. With clear frustration in his voice, Ford said that both he and Kenny are leaving the team because Tank just won't listen anymore. He explained that despite years of mentorship and loyalty, Davis keeps finding himself in trouble and ignoring the guidance meant to keep him focused on boxing. According to Ford, there's no reason to stick around when your own fighter refuses to take responsibility for his actions.
Ford said.
With the Tank, what's going on with Tank, and are we going to see, and when are we going to see him back?
He got a little legal issue. As soon as they get through the courts, they'll set a date, and all we can do is wait. I don't get into that side, you know what I mean? I'm just there.
So far, Gervonta Tank Davis hasn't made any public comment about Calvin Ford's departure. Still, many boxing fans say they aren't surprised. They had already noticed something was off when Ford didn't show up to Tank's training camp ahead of his fight with Lamont Roach. People close to the situation said the two had been trying to repair their working relationship for months, but it was like trying to fix cracks that kept reopening. Ford mentioned that the first signs of a real split appeared when Tank suddenly announced his retirement without even letting his longtime coaches know. Back in January, Davis said he wanted to step away from boxing to focus on his mental health and become a better father, telling Inside Boxing Live that therapy and time away from the spotlight might help him rebuild his life.
Type thing, like come back and help too, you know what I mean? So it's much love to the whole Mayweather promotion, you know what I mean? Ain't no bad.
I want to do therapy, but I feel as though if I do, it would lose the fire that I have inside of me.
I just want to let everything out of me, Tank said, so I never have to think about fighting again or even feel that anger inside. He explained that his focus has shifted from the ring to his family, especially his two daughters. Davis said he wants to set a better example for them, to raise them in a calmer, more peaceful environment, not one surrounded by constant tension or aggression.
What was going through your mind when you heard the decision?
Nobody like a draw, you know, from a guy that get knockouts and things like that, but it's cool. I feel like if we fight again, I could do more, and I should have did more. I was lost in you can get knocked out like that, so I'd rather take the knee than, you know. But I didn't really know that you can like get disqualified for all that, or like when you start counting, I'm like, what the hell? But I don't know.
It's all about being real with yourself. Tank said, you have to be honest about what you really want. When you start faking it, when you know your heart isn't in it, but you keep going anyway, that's when something's wrong. Shortly after making that statement, Gervonta Davis entered training camp for his next fight, but this time without his longtime mentor, Calvin Ford, by his side. Even though his team tried to keep things quiet and make it seem like everything was normal, the cracks were already showing.
What's going on with Tank, and are we going to see, and when are we going to see him back?
He got a little legal issue. As soon as they get through the courts, they'll set a date, and all we can do is wait. I don't get into that side, you know what I mean? I'm just there when he needs me.
This fallout didn't just happen overnight. It was a result of months of silent tension and unspoken disagreements within Tank's camp. Ever since the build-up to the Lamont Roach fight, things haven't been the same. There were constant misunderstandings, communication gaps, and quiet frustrations that kept piling up until they finally reached a breaking point.
I don't even know Calvin for CCO. I know Calvin, you know what I mean? I don't know.
The real trouble started when Calvin Ford quietly began distancing himself from Gervonta Tank Davis and started focusing more on training younger fighters. There were several reasons behind that move, but one of the biggest rumors circulated among boxing fans was that Tank never really paid his trainers what they deserved. Although Ford repeatedly denied those claims, he often brushed them off by saying that he and Tank share more a father and son bond than a business relationship. meaning money wasn't the issue.
Hey, Tank, real talk. Will Calvin be with you on this fight? Come on, you Tank. Huh? Will Calvin be with you on this fight?
I don't know. We gotta see. That's right.
What do you think about the guy yelling in the back? Did that kind of get...
There wasn't a major argument or public fallout between them, but anyone paying attention could tell something was off. The bond they once had just wasn't the same anymore. Then came the chaos on fight night, the moment that turned quiet tension into a full-blown rift. That night exposed everything that had been bubbling beneath the surface. Gervonta Davis had brushed off Calvin Ford's advice leading up to the fight, choosing to do things his own way instead.
And he know when I go spend time with my piece, I'm going through things. You know what I'm saying? When he was there, at least I know where he was at. Because it was something that we didn't do. It was something that we normally do.
Calvin Ford admitted that he didn't feel right trying to control or correct Tank that night because he hadn't been part of his full training camp. In his words, it wouldn't be fair to step in at the last minute and try to guide a fighter he hadn't helped prepare. But the real turning point came during one of the later rounds of that fight. As Calvin tried to warn Davis to stay cautious and tighten his defense, Tank suddenly snapped back, shouting, "Calvin, calm down and listen to me."
You guys calm down and listen to me.
Hey, come on now. He's trying to get it. There you go. There you go. That's what you have to do. There you go. Stay good. Stay focused. That was a good round. You got me? Turn up now. I want all three of these.
Fans didn't hold back their reactions after witnessing the exchange between Gervonta, Tank Davis, and Calvin Ford. One fan wrote, "I really feel bad for that man. Tank is so rude and disrespectful, and he doesn't even realize how much he needs Calvin." Another person tried to put themselves in Tank's place, saying, "If I had someone like Calvin Ford guiding me the way he guided Tank, I'd be forever thankful. That man would never have to worry about anything for the rest of his life." Others were far harsher in their criticism, calling Tank ungrateful and arrogant. One comment read, "Tank is wicked."
No, I wasn't really paying attention to the crowd. You know what I mean? I was more so, it's something we got to work on in the corner, for sure.
Before the split between Calvin Ford and Gervonta Davis became public, the story being shared to the outside world was that Ford was just taking a step back, not leaving entirely, and that the training setup would stay the same. Fans and media were led to believe that nothing serious had happened and that it was just a minor adjustment in the team. A reporter even emphasized that this wasn't meant to suggest any kind of breakup or conflict between Ford and Davis, trying to reassure the audience that their professional relationship was still intact, even though, behind the scenes, the truth was very different.
Davis.
This question is for Coach Calvin Ford. This is Matt from Brunch Boxing.
Well, man.
Now, we know that Tank has talked in the past about retiring, leaving the game of boxing. As someone that's had Tank since basically he was a pup and you've raised him as a
People were curious if the temporary separation had actually strengthened the bond between Calvin Ford and Gervonta Davis, like how family members sometimes grow closer after spending time apart. But Ford made it clear that wasn't the case. "No, he came to see me, slowed down, and worrying about you because he knows I spend time with my amateurs," Ford explained. "You both know me, I'm always with my amateurs. That's my focus." Even though he wasn't directly training Tank at that time, just knowing where Davis was and that he was still putting the work gave Ford a quiet sense of reassurance. It showed that despite the tension, there was still respect for the process and for the craft of boxing.
After tonight,
I like to see Tank to do what he want to do. I said at the last press conference. Y'all got to understand, them guys been doing this since they were little. This might energize them again.
Oh, yeah. In fact, he backstage right now talking about he want a rematch. So.
Backstage, you want to go to the gym right now.
Hey, Tank, real talk. Will Calvin be with you on this fight? Come on, you Tank. Huh? Will Calvin be with you on this fight?
I don't know. We gotta see. That's right.
What do you think about the guy yelling in the back? Did that kind of get you?
Ford admitted that stepping away from Davis gave them both a chance to recognize and appreciate their bond. When he eventually returned to the gym, he could immediately tell that the lightweight champion had felt his absence, just as Ford had missed being around him. That sense of connection and reassurance wasn't just one-sided either. Barry Hunter, another key figure in their camp, echoed similar feelings, showing that even with tension and distance, the respect and care within the team hadn't completely disappeared.
He will always be around, you know what I mean? So, that's Pops, like I said. So he'll always be there. Without Calvin, it wouldn't be no me, you know what I mean? Because at first when I came into the...
Calvin will be there. Coach Barry will be there. Coach Boogie will be there. And Kenny will be there as well. Barry Hunter said in an interview, while Calvin Ford and Kenny Ellis won't be in Tank's corner, Hunter and the other coaches will still be present, suggesting that the changes aren't as drastic as some might think. Hunter also reminded fans that this isn't the first time there have been adjustments in Tank's corner. Having been involved with Davis since his amateur days and early professional career, Hunter isn't new to the team and knows how the dynamics work.
It's all like you spoke in New York, some of that extra motivation when someone's talking in the crowd.
Like how was?
The two guys, like the bet, is all this stuff kind of added more?
No, I don't know. You know how people like...
Just so
the people that come with the clock.
Cards. Judge at the ringside. Eric Marlinski scores it on 115 to 113 in favor of Gervonta Davis. Judges Steve Weisfeld and Glenn Feldman both scores about 114 to 114, even a draw.
At first, it seemed like the changes in Tank's corner were just a temporary shakeup, with the possibility of returning to the old setup once Davis came back after a few months. Footage from Prime Video even showed moments during a fight where Davis shouted over Calvin Ford advice between rounds, yelling, "Listen to me." But this time, Ford and Kenny Ellis have taken a firm stand.
Gervonta Tank Davis did something awful again, and no, it wasn't scheduling another fight with Jake Paul. He beat a woman. Again. And once again, I'm not talking about Jake Paul. If you know Tank Davis, you know he has a lot of run-ins with the law. But this is actually a civil suit over a certain criminal case that was dropped earlier. And
the lawsuit, filed on October 30th by his former girlfriend Courtney Rell, alleges multiple serious charges against Gervonta Tank Davis, including battery, aggravated battery, false imprisonment, kidnapping, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. According to filing, Rell worked as a VIP cocktail waitress at a club called Tootsie's. On October 27th, she claims Davis stormed into the club around 4:15 a.m. and attacked her, choking, grabbing, and dragging her through the kitchen, stairwell, and back exit before assaulting her in the parking garage. Rell states that she had been privately dating Davis for 5 months, but during that time he allegedly physically abused her multiple times and even threatened to kill her on 2 separate occasions. According to Sports Illustrated's Chris Manx, Jake Paul's team is now actively searching for a replacement opponent for the November 14th card. Manx shared the update on X, highlighting how Davis's ongoing legal troubles have become a recurring issue. This comes just days after the World Boxing Association lightweight champion had spoken about focusing on his mental health, making the timing of the allegations even more damaging. The case could have serious consequences for Davis, both inside and outside the ring, and it now puts the highly anticipated Paul versus Tank exhibition in genuine jeopardy.
And while everyone is innocent until proven guilty, this looks really bad for him. While all the details aren't out, we know the details from the original case, which was basically a shut case with a lot of evidence that he did it. That, along with his prior incidents, innocent until proven guilty, but yeah.
Paul's boxing promotion, Most Valuable Promotions, announced on Monday that the Netflix event scheduled for November 14th will no longer take place. Nick Issa-Bidarian, Paul's business partner, explained that the team tried to handle the situation responsibly, but decided to move forward with Paul facing a different opponent on Netflix later in 2025. Tank Davis will not be part of the event. The decision comes amid court documents detailing serious allegations from an ex-girlfriend, claiming that Davis choked her inside a Miami strip club on October 27th, along with other incidents of abuse. In response, Paul didn't hold back, calling Davis an actual walking human piece of garbage in a statement on X. Outside the ring, the situation has left the boxing world in shock as fans and professionals alike process the rapid unraveling of what was meant to be a high-profile exhibition match.
Trouble.
Paul quickly made his stance clear, posting a strong statement online to distance himself from Davis. He didn't hold back, calling Davis an actual walking human piece of garbage, and emphasizing that he would never give a platform to a woman abuser. "I didn't want to give this woman abuser a stage to grow his fans or his bank account," Paul wrote. He stressed that his company champions women and expressed deep apologies to everyone affected by the canceled fight, particularly the undercard fighters and his own team at MVP, who had worked tirelessly preparing for the event.
If you do something like 6 times, people are going to believe you did it the 7th. So why is this coming up again? Well, now we talk about Jake Paul. There were a lot of theories that the reason the original charges got dropped, despite it being pretty clear that he was going to get convicted, was he convinced her to stop pressing charges so that he can actually schedule this Jake Paul fight.
My take on it. Oh, Lord have mercy. The way that he wrote this is just so crazy. He said, Gervonta Davis is an actual walking human piece of garbage. Working with him is an absolute nightmare. The unprofessionalism, the bizarre requests, the showing up hours late to shoots, the numerous arrests and related accusations and lawsuits. If you support this man, you support the most vile sin a man can commit. I didn't want to give this woman a
Clarissa Shields, however, seemed to think that Paul shouldn't act as if he was completely blindsided by Davis's history. Speaking on X Spaces, she said, "I have a few things to say about that. First, I'm not saying I fully agree with everything Jake said, but here's the thing. We all knew Tank's background with domestic violence before this fight was even announced. Before any of his fights, people already knew he had these issues." Shields went on, "This isn't his first, second, or even third run-in with something like this."
Outside the ring, for some reason, he gets in trouble. You know, I'm not sure what he's going through, or if he is going through something. Man, we wish him, you know, all the best, and hopefully he gets back on the straight line. You know, we always wish that for fighters, because this is a tough sport. You know, that gets into your psyche.
Shields didn't stop there. She added, "Secondly, to suddenly call him the most vile human being and all that, none of that was said until these allegations came out." She wrapped up by suggesting, "I just think that might be karma for some people. It's just karma, that's all." Her remarks added yet another layer of controversy surrounding one of boxing's most explosive stars, both inside and outside the ring. Shields pointed out that Paul's sudden moral stance seemed performative, noting that he promoted the fight without ever mentioning Davis's history until financial incentives disappeared.
A platform to grow his fans and to grow his bank account. My company champions women. I'm so sorry to everyone involved, mostly to the undercard fighters, to my team at MVP, and to my team who worked so hard prepping for this fight, sacrificing time with loved ones and kids just for this fool to lose his unintelligent mind again. It's scary that devilish man like...
Meanwhile, Most Valuable Promotions released an official statement addressing the situation. They emphasize that they are gathering all the facts and carefully reviewing every aspect before making any decisions, ensuring that their next steps are responsible and well-informed. We will make a determination on next steps once we have completed our review and consulted with the appropriate parties.
I think Tank Davis, yeah, he has his whole career ahead of him. I don't really know if he wanted this fight. I don't really know if he wanted an exhibition. I don't think that's in Tank's nature, you know? Yeah, it would have been a great payday. Yeah, it would have been a lot of exposure. but it does nothing to Tank's legacy. And I really do think that Tank cares about his legacy.
If Jake Paul and his team aren't able to secure Ryan Garcia as a replacement opponent, Anthony Joshua could emerge as another possible option. Fans may remember that Paul had already called out the former heavyweight champion earlier this year, keeping Joshua on the radar. However, recent reports suggest that Joshua is currently in talks for a potential matchup against Jarrell Miller in Ghana, which would affect his availability.